The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi, everyone. This is Dave Hondel. Welcome to the Stage Door Show tonight. I have a great artist with me. Rogan Mei is an indie folk artist out of the Toronto area, just north of Toronto, called Barrie. And we're really excited to have him on. We've had a lot of artists from Ontario and Canada in general. Let's bring him in right now. So Rogan Mei, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dave. How's it going? Glad to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to have you. Thanks for doing this. One of the questions that I have, first of all, what kind of drew you to being a folk artist? What was it about the folk genre that kind of attracted you?
For me, I started playing guitar when I was maybe like 12, and I was really influenced by the music that my parents made me learn, which was the time they're like baby boomers. So
Sure.
a lot of like Beatles and the Eagles and all those kind of stuff, and Cat Stevens, and then I guess I kind of connected with my mom when I was like a late teenagers because my brother got me a record player, and then I'd go and thrift with my mom, and she'd pick out records and tell me about the history of them. So the bass was that, and then I listened to a lot of Jack Johnson and just playing guitar on my back deck. And so since I was always playing acoustic guitar and singing, it was just kind of seemed natural.
Well, I'm halfway up a leaf, Roy, and I'm reaching for the clouds, but I just can't seem to touch them, no matter how far I stretch out. And I got so quick to climbing, thinking I'd be feeling tall. Now I see it's just the ego, got me singing up here at all. Where are you now? Where are you now? Oh, come on now, Amanda, you keep moving far away. I hear the whisper of the white pine say it's all gonna be okay. You're safe but never sorry. Sometimes sorry is okay. Sometimes sorry wakes us in the night, shake our crooked ways. Where are you now? Where are you now?
That's how I was always playing. And I grew up in the sticks. Like I grew up, my elementary school growing up was like surrounded by farm field. Like there's literally like corn stalks surrounding it. So we'd run away from the teachers and go. So that whole, yeah. So just living where I lived, it just kind of made sense that it would go that way, I guess. I never really tried. I tried to just find my own voice. And it did take a long time of like trial and error to figure out my songwriting style. But yeah, I never really sought out to be like, I'm going to be a folk artist or I'm going to be a rock artist or whatever. I just kind of was like, whatever it ends up being, it ends up being.
Well, I think it's great because, for people my age, in my mid 50s, but the nice thing about it is that you're kind of keeping that genre alive because it's you don't hear too many folk singers anymore. And I love your music, and I've been watching a lot of your videos, and your stage presence is great. And you also have a great band too, which I really enjoy listening to your videos. But one thing I want to mention about your stage presence is, one thing you mentioned in your bio is that you like to get the crowd involved, like to do a lot of crowd interaction, which I think is important as an artist to get the crowd involved because they're there to see you. And if you get them involved, it's almost like any kind of entertainer, like a comedian or any singer or anybody that's got an act on stage, to get their crowd involved, I think is super important. So talk about that. And is that something that's kind of natural for you, or is that like something that you kind of meant to get into, or talk about that? Because not a lot of people do that. They sing their song and go to the next.
Yeah. And I definitely started that way because like everybody started out with doing open mics, and you get your 3 or 4 songs and you just go up there and play your song and walk off.
Yeah.
But I was always attracted to the idea of having like a show where you're getting brought through something, whether that's like something more thought through. Like I also liked concept albums when I was like a teenager. So I always liked the idea of having like a rhythm to a show. When it really came together for me is I was affected by this book called On Stage Success, by Tom Jackson, who is like a live music producer. So he's in charge. He's worked with like huge famous people. He worked with Taylor Swift when she was like young. So he develops the live show, regardless of what the radio friendly version of a song is. Like there's a different method to making a song come alive on stage in a lot of cases. So he had a relationship with the Canadian Musicians Cooperative, which I currently work for, doing some like shows. They have a show called Barns to Beaches, which we're performing right now. And I did a workshop maybe like a year and a half ago where Tom flew in from Nashville to Barrie and put on this thing, kind of showed people, had bands come up and they'd play their song how they would usually play it, and then he'd have them play it through again, and then he'd keep stopping them and be like, well, here you could do this. Instead of just playing like your intro chords and standing with the mic right in front of you, he'd be like, you actually don't want to stand right in front of the mic while you're doing your intro riff, because now everybody's waiting for you to sing because your mouth is by the mic. It's better for you to stand to the side of the mic so no one's worried about you and they know you're not going to sing. It's like understanding where the attention is going. And so in this book, he lays out a lot of that stuff. And then he lays out, there's different kind of moments. There's like sentimental moments that has like a 1 energy level. There's like big exciting moments might have a 5 energy level. And then there's like fun moments, which is where crowd interaction really comes into play. And where, yeah, people come to a concert, they want to be involved and they want to feel like you're not just like, they're not watching a movie where it just is what it is. They want to be able to like, to connect with you. And so me taking the book seriously, I was like, okay, it comes to this song, I need to figure out something that's going to be fun for the audience. So I've done like gags in the past where like there's a pause built into the song, and then like the pause goes really long, and then everybody's like, what's going on? And then like the drummer's like picking up his phone and he's on a phone call, and it's like his grandmother or something. And
That's funny.
like her grandma's trying to like find parking or something, and then he hangs up the phone and he like hits, and then we go into the chorus, and so it's just like a fun moment. I have another song called Rushmore, which is probably the next song I'll release, where everybody yells like "so what," and then I get the whole crowd to like be yelling out "so what" with like angst. And so that I find people like. But for me, for my act personally, I find what I get the most people coming up to me saying is actually like the stories that I tell leading into it. Because since I'm in folk and there is a lot of narratives going on, and sometimes there is like a big backstory to a song that is fairly interesting. And I find when I started telling more stories rather than just playing 10 songs in a row, taking the time on a few songs to be like, this is how this came about, and blah, 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 saying the story, playing the song, and knowing which song to pick to do that and not to do it all the time, but at the right. And then over time, you get people telling you they connected with like the same story over and over. So then that's the story that I would continue doing or like build upon.
I mean, I think that's great. I mean, that you do that crowd work like that. And, one of the things I also want to ask you as far as Toronto goes, in that area, I know you're just north of Toronto, about an hour, you said, in Barrie. But, what's the folk scene like in Toronto? Because I know Toronto is a big music city. And it's I go to Toronto all the time for work. So one thing I noticed about Toronto is that it's a vast city. I mean, it goes for miles. I mean, you can go from one end to the other and still, be driving for over an hour. So talk about the scene in Toronto when it comes to folk. Is that a scene that's popular, or is it something you could put your footprint in and grow it with your music? I mean, what's the scene like there?
Yeah, for me, I haven't had the experience of being connected to like a scene connected to like one genre. A lot of the artist friends that I have are in different genres. They might be adjacent genres or they might be very different genres. And so for me, um, similar to just like the Canadian dynamic of it being like a um not a melting pot, but a mosaic where you just have like all these different
Yes.
genres. That's the way it feels for me. It doesn't feel like
I like how you said that, mosaic. That's a perfect way to say it.
yeah, because I don't feel as a folk artist I go into play the Horse Tavern or play wherever and it's like there's just a bunch of folk artists there. It's a lot of the time it's like there's a metal band and then there's this band and it's like whoever the promoter is like if I'm promoting my own show and I'm putting together the bill then I'm thinking about that and I'm choosing other artists to like open for me who are in a similar genre or gonna like build in what I'm doing, but I've definitely been to a lot of shows where it's just like a huge mix match of genres.
If you're a folk artist and you're there with metal bands, how is that accepted with maybe a metal band fan and then they see you get up on stage and sing folk tunes? I mean, how is that, how does the interaction with the fans, like when you get up on stage and after maybe a metal band plays?
Well, I don't do that because I don't put myself in that position.
Okay.
But I've seen other people do it.
Sure,
And
sure.
like people, other people who are putting on the bill, like usually they are thinking of that, like somewhat. They have people that they think, this band can kind of go with this band. But yeah, that does happen. And even at a show festival in Barrie last year, it was like a folk band, and then the very next band was a hardcore like screamo. It was a little bit unsettling because everyone's, put into one calm
Right.
state for the folk person.
Yeah.
Then it was like, whoa. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not really good for either band.
Right. Right.
don't
You're
think-
right. Yeah.
But at the same time, I've also made good friendships with people who are in very different genres. Like
Yeah.
the band I'm close with, Daniel Monte, who's like an orchestral rock. Like they're like crazy.
Almost
You know,
like
cool.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra, something like that.
Yeah, they're like all like I feel like they're masters like in music and stuff like that. So they play really intricate stuff. And it'd be cool if they'd have to tone their thing down if we were to be on a bill together. So there's a positive and negative. It's good that there's no real like boundaries where it's like you're not going to be in our circle because you're in a different genre.
Right. There's a lot of respect. And I would imagine in Canada as well, I think there's a lot of respect. And like you said, there's a mosaic. I mean, just like the people in Canada, I think, I what I experience when I'm up there is that everybody just coexists in a friendly way, and there's people from all over the world that have, immigrated there. And I think it's amazing. I think that people could learn from the way Canada does things, but just in general, just how they're so accepting of each other. And I think the music would be similar to me, where you accept other genres and you appreciate the work that goes in to the music. And so I think, I've been very impressed by the people that I've interviewed from, not just Toronto, but British Columbia and, Montreal. I've interviewed people from almost every province. And I think it's just, I think there's a lot of respect there. One of the things I wanted to mention, I said a surprise because it's something that kind of caught my eye when I was reading your bio. And you have had kind of an adventurous life and as a job of, what they call smoke jumping and fighting fires and wildfires in Canada, which I think is, a very noble thing to do. But talk about that and have you been able to kind of use those experiences to write music? I guess, does that kind of give you some material?
Yeah, so I guess in the States you'd call them like hot shots.
Yeah.
Now I did like hell attack for 5 years, and then I did smoke jumping, which is like a little more specialized, like you're parachuting into the fire. So I did that for 2 years, which was like my dream at the time. I was like building up to that. And it takes a lot to get to that.
A lot of training. Yeah.
Yeah, and just building your resume and
Yep.
everything. And it was amazing. And all the people there, it was like the best work environment you could ever imagine. So I definitely probably the biggest thing I gained from that was like work ethic and seeing different leaders and how they interact, because you're always in like crews of usually like four, and then depending on the fire you might have like more crews come in, so it's like builds in these building blocks of four. So you meet a lot of like different types of leaders and stuff, or you might be working with different groups. And so like the work ethic of being on a fire in general and having to stick it out, it definitely got carried over. And at the time, I would write a lot of stuff while I was on the fire line. Like I'd be spraying hoses and like coming up with melodies and stuff, or like
Right.
back to my going back to my tent and like writing down lyrics that I was trying to remember from the day. Because you do have a lot of time to think. Like you're doing a lot of like laborious things that need your attention, but after you've done it for a long time, you start to understand how like fire behaves, or like how different trees do this and that. And like any job, it doesn't become mindless, but like you're not you're able to like think about other things. There is a period that's like go time and you really have to like lock in.
Zone in, yeah.
But you're also in nature a lot, and a lot of my music connects back to nature, especially like Canadian landscapes.
I was headed north on the South Dakota line to see an old friend of mine who's now no friend of mine. So many moves south, it's a worn out road, it's a played out road, but I've only got so far left to go. So I hitch a ride up to Calgary, it's the place to be, the living's easy. Hitch a ride across to Georgian Bay, they got all the love in one place, the kind of love don't lead astray. Hitch a ride now, they're slowing right down. You get inside and you might find a friend in a stranger's eyes. Hitch a ride now, they're slowing right down. You get inside and you might find a friend in a stranger's eyes.
So being exposed to so much of Canada, like I've been, because even if I'm based in one place, like our plane in Fort St. John where I was at the Paratac base, we could go anywhere in BC within like 5 hours if there was a fire. You have like your own jurisdiction, but Paratac kind of like it goes where they're needed. So you get to go into the mountains, and then you might be in like a way different every day. You're like in a place you've never been, right? So that all seeps into my like subconscious, I feel like.
So what's scarier, jumping into a fire or being on stage in front of a big crowd?
That's an interesting question, because I've actually thought a lot about what has attracted me to both, and it is very like performance based in both sides. Like you do a lot of preparation, and then like it's go time. But I think they can be equally sometimes being in front of a crowd is more, if it depends how prepared you are in both situations. If you're like really prepared and you know like your band's done the rehearsals and you guys have it locked in and like you sold all the tickets and people are coming, then it's like just fun. And it was similar with Fighting Fire, where if you've done a lot of the training and you're in that headspace, you just have a confidence. When you don't have that is when things unravel fast and you're like, okay.
Yeah, for sure. What are your musical goals? I mean, what do you want to be doing 5 years from now? I mean, is it something you want to keep building your career? Is it something you want to, perform locally, or do you want to span out and perform, maybe, across Canada and maybe in the States? I mean, what are your goals?
Yeah, I want to span out and perform bigger and bigger venues and get into festivals and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, hopefully as quickly as possible, but it'll probably be a slow build. Yeah, I want to make more music and improve my like efficiency of making the music. Right now I've been able, like this project that this song Lefroy is a part of, like an EP. I did it pretty like for how it's come together, I did it like pretty affordably, which is sweet. But I'm working on getting grants and planning ahead to my like creative cycle in the coming year, so that like in Canada there's a lot of grants available if you A, know about them, and B, understand how to write them, and C, there's like priority groups if you connect with or if you're a part of, that can help you get grants. So I'm working on like building my performances, but also like hopefully building how I fund things, because I don't want to just like fund everything out of my pocket always, because
As part of the business, I mean, you have to be a business person as an indie artist, and that's something people, like will figure out eventually that you don't want to do everything yourself. I mean, DIY is great, but it's going to cost money eventually. And so, how are you going to raise that money is a big deal.
I had like a period of years, especially when I was fighting Barrie, I wasn't around tons of musicians.
Yeah.
Where I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn just how to do everything on MIDI, and like learn how to have a violin player that's really me playing the keyboard. But the problem is that hiring someone like the violinist who plays for me, who goes by Saint Shepard, he's so good at violin, and he went to the University of Toronto for violin. It's like the intuition you have when you've been playing violin for so long. It's like you can't go on a keyboard and do what that person can do. And so it's so much faster and better product to hire a real person.
Yeah, right.
A master at their craft, than it is to try and just like do everything yourself because you feel like you can. So that was like one of the biggest learnings I've even made on this journey, was just like you thinking you can do everything is holding you back so much. It's like hard enough to do one thing really well, and it's like if you think you can do everything that you're gonna have to do as an artist,
it's impossible.
It's literally.
I need an assistant for what I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I do this myself as well. And it's like, just to put together a show and to research and to, do your due diligence before you have somebody on the show. I mean, it takes time, plus have a day job besides, and a lot of artists that are, playing gigs, or big gigs, as well. I mean, some people have day jobs where, they need the insurance, or they need to pay for being a musician, or being a, podcast host, or whatever it is, or actor. I mean, it's very important as an indie, to have a team around you that can help you when it's needed to, to kind of take care of some of the stuff that you don't have time to do. So it's really super important. So I agree. One of the things I was going to ask you too, just as an indie artist, I mean, what are some of the, I don't know Canada as well, but what are some of the dream venues that you're hoping to play at some point? And because I know there's big arenas, because there's a lot of hockey arenas there, but what are some venues and that, like short-term like goals that you have for playing venues up there?
Well, yeah, obviously you have like the big stages like Budweiser, which used to be the Molson Center. And there's one that's like an outdoor. My favorite one to go in Toronto is like it's like an amphitheater, but it's halfway. You can be on the grass kind of thing.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's a chill vibe. But yeah, for me, I'm probably most interested in playing, hopefully playing some festivals within the next like 1 to 2 years. There's a lot of really good festivals that are in line with kind of my artist values and like the outdoors and all of that, since Muskoka is like 2 hours from me, and I play up in Parry Sound and stuff sometimes, which is up that way. Like once you get out into the Ruck Outcrop and like all those, you've probably seen pictures of Algonquin Park and stuff like that, like the famous canoe like.
Oh yeah areas. Well, I want to tell people how to find you on social media. So how do they find you, and can they find your music? Because I know you have a great site as well. So talk about that.
Yeah, so on socials is just at Rogan Mei, Mei being MEI. Rogan like Joe Rogan, how most people remember it. And then my website is roganmei.com. Pretty straightforward. I'm probably most active on Instagram right now. But yeah, I put stuff up on most things. And then I haven't done a ton of like YouTube stuff. So the next like 4 months ish, I'm working on making some music videos and stuff. I was just out with a videographer right before this. And we were getting some good footage for one of my next releases, which was cool. And yeah, so hopefully all that will be on YouTube soon. But yeah, mainly for reach outs and stuff, I'd say either Instagram or my email just on my website.
Okay. So everybody go to roganmei.com and check that out. And then also, Rogan, before we leave, I wanted to just see when it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave behind at the end of your career, the twilight of your career, to your fans and to your family? What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
For me, I just want to have like people to say like you did it big, you know what I mean? That just like in my life in general. And then obviously that like I love big, and I'm really big on like finding opportunity. If I get an opportunity, I really want to be able to waterfall that out into other people that I know, to give them opportunities. And like I find that regardless of like how it goes popularity wise, there's a lot of like inner respect that comes from like the way you did things, and like the people that you actually know, knowing that like you gave them an opportunity, and then like, you know, there's an actual community versus just having tons of followers or whatever, but maybe not having connection between them, and people maybe not knowing that you would, you know, stick your neck out for them or something like that. I value kind of like a lot of those old values.
Well, you're an old soul. I can tell you're an old soul just with the music that you play. And, you know, I think that, you know, just the respect that you have for your parents showing you the music and playing the kind of music they like. And, you know, so just, you know, best of luck to you. And I think you're really good. I really enjoyed your music. And, you know, like I said, everybody go to roganmei.com and check it out. He has some great music on there, and, you know, you won't be disappointed. And, you know, you're welcome back, Rogan, anytime. So, you know, thank you for jumping on tonight. And like I said, best of luck to your new projects that you have coming out as well. So thank you.
Sweet, Dave. Thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed this. This flew by. It was a fun conversation.
I don't wanna see you in my dreams anymore. Singing in the shower.